Okay, you asked, so I am making this tutorial. Um, Basically, this leaf here is beautiful, except when you get here. So, this is a gorgeous, I think it's gorgeous anyway, peony. But do you see it looks like somebody scorched him at the top? It's like brown and gross. So either I have to make a very, right, either I don't use him or I use a piece of him and cut out, or I paint him and I'm calling it a him. Him, her. Anyway, so I have to fix it. It's almost like, you have an art painting and you have to fix something. So when I get a leaf in from somebody who wants to say, like, for example, they want to make, say, an ornament from their flowers from their wedding, but they're really cringy. Not that your flowers in your wedding were cringy, but they send me something that dried really bad. With permission, as long as they say, yes, do whatever you have to do to at least, keep the piece. So I'm going to zoom in. Try to zoom in a little more. All right. So again, see how dark that is? It's just really dark. So what I am going to do with this particular one is I'm going to so I'll try different things. So I like mica shift powders because they have a really pretty color. Try to find one that will match. Like, see, I'm using a this is called dark magenta. It's sponsored by these companies, but I just want, it's just a mica shift powder. And this one's like a plum. Sometimes the colors are different than like what you think on the bottle because they have different color shifts inside. So what I'll do, I don't know if you can see this here, I will try to match. And sometimes I have to mix colors. And sometimes that doesn't even do the trick. And so what we're going to do here is try to find a brush that's, I think, got a little bit more fluff to it. And now, again, I mean, it's not going to be perfect, right? I can't duplicate it exactly sometimes. But sometimes I'll mix a couple mica shift powders together and fade it into the natural that's there. So see that it's covering up that brown crunch. We have a shimmer. Okay. There are things that are made with less shimmer. But at the end of the day, you're being able to transform something that wasn't usable. So I say, you know what? At the end of the day, that's a good thing. Now, so it doesn't look unnatural and like it's just up at the tip. What I'll do is go in and see these other areas. I will add a little bit to each of the areas. Again, with permission, of course. This one isn't for anybody. This will be available for sale in my shop, in my Etsy shop really soon. So, for people to use for their projects. So at least you'll know that where it came from. So, okay. So that was another question I had. Well, where does your stuff come from? Are you like importing it from China or Indonesia or somewhere like that? And they have really great stuff. And sometimes you have to because you can't get it around here unless you grew it yourself. It depends if it comes from, this came actually off of our land. We have about 17, well, it depends. The deed is really weird. We have a house that was built in 1750 and it says 20 acres plus or minus, whatever that means. And then there's another piece of paper that says 17.7 acres. So it's like, okay, which is it? So it's really hard. So you know what? I'm just going to go with 17 plus acres. Anyway, there we go. Somebody out there that's a surveyor is going to be like, oh my God, you should really have it surveyed. But I'm happy. So look, there you go. I just took the leaf And I added so it looked more natural. And again, this tip was crunchy. I don't know if you remember it, right? And I added. So if you kind of wanted to get really crazy, you could try to add in back some of the olive green. But I think bringing more attention to an area sometimes can be, you know, not do it justice. Another thing you could do to this, if you wanted to make it look like that was like part of the deal, like it was part of it, like you could just tint all of the edges. Okay, and you could like go down and like try to feather it in so you have more of the burgundy-ish. It's like a plum. It's really not. I'll brighten it up a little bit on the video because this looks really dark right now. You probably won't see it this dark. And then you can sort of fade it in. Now, this is an extremely dry leaf. I pressed this leaf myself, grew the leaf myself, and now I'm fixing it to show you. So, but again, if somebody were to send this to me and say, please fix my leaf, this would be part of the process. I might not end here, but, you know, and then I would turn it over. Oh my goodness. And then you see the other side, because you might be using the other side for part of the design. Now, obviously, look at the color is light greens, and then looks like somebody took a match to the tip. I'm not going to use, obviously, burgundy there unless I decided I wanted to cover this whole piece with that. So, we have a decision. I have another color. Hopefully, you're probably bored. Please don't be bored. I have a green that's iridescent. Now, it's like what do they even call it? Grass green. They call it grass green. So if you feathered in a grass green, it could kind of neutralize that. And again, it's not going to make it be, you know, the same exact color again, but heck, it's not going to look like somebody took a match to it. It sort of will help it disappear. And it'll look really pretty. Okay, we're not done. I swear, we're not done. But it'll slowly disappear. Now, I'm going to talk about another way you could do this. Okay, like say you were like, okay, that's not enough. Like you're like, I really, especially there, you're like, that's just not happening. You could take a little bit of paint and start mixing in a little bit of paint. Now, I'm going to tell you something about paint. Acrylic paints tend to lift. Okay, they can lift. And so you're really going to want to seal it. Here, I'm going to show you. This is really pretty, isn't it? And it's pretty stuck, but if I just start to peel a little bit, see, it lifts really easily, so you have to seal it. Make sure you use some sort of like a waterproof sealer, especially if you're going to use it on something like, I think waterproof sealers are the bomb. They're awesome because you could use it in an area that you normally wouldn't be able to because humidity would get in and just destroy this. You couldn't put this on the outside like on a door wreath like this. You would have to seal it. A lot of people are like, oh, I want my wreath on my front door to be natural. I want it to have, you know, earthy leaves and things for fall, but because I don't like that, you know, plastic or silk look. Well, you're taking a risk because it's a natural product, and moisture, you know, you get cold, moisture, heat. You can have like a summer day, like in October in the fall, especially in Connecticut. We get these weird days. You have to seal it really well. All right, I'm going to show you with this leaf only. Something else I would do to bring it to have a cool color on the back. Just remember, these are like sponges, and what you do to the back might show through to the front. So less is more. Less is more. All right, less is more. I'm going to use something called Smolder. And it's, well, irony, right? We're having Smolder here. Okay. So, a couple drops. I'm going to start with a few because you don't need much. And I'm just going to start to paint it on. Now, what I'm trying to accomplish is kind of get like, here, let's go more. Let's just, okay, a little more because it really needs to absorb in there. I'm trying to make the back be a little bit more uniform. And I know that this color will kind of hide that, well, literally that burnt look. And so make it look like it's supposed to, like the back of the leaf is supposed to be this color. Right? This sort of, again, this smolder. It's got little iridescence in it. I'm not sponsored by these people. People ask, are you sponsored? Well, I could be if they send me paint and I like it. I'm only going to sponsor anything that I actually believe in. I would never sponsor anything that, like, just because somebody goes, oh, sponsor us, we're going to give you, you know, $1,000. So that would not happen. No, because I got to use this, and if I don't think it works. So now you've got the front, and it's fixed. And now my back, in case I want to use, like, you know, I wanted to, like, have, like, maybe, like, half showing, like, if I wanted to cut this in half and have, like, half the leaf going one way and half the leaf being the other color, now it's going to look uniform. If I didn't want it to be just so blah, that's the technical term, by the way, blah, is I could go in and add, this, like this said, this is called green grass, and you could go over, and if you go over the alcohol ink before it's completely dry, it kind of takes really easy, I think, but it can't be sopping wet, because then it becomes kind of a muddy mess and it won't spread, but if you go, be careful, these are brittle because they're really dry if you're going to do this yourself. And then you can just sort of add, and you want to kind of like follow the pattern or the veining that's in the leaf. Hopefully that gave you some cool, look at, it's kind of fun. Now, if you don't like that there's lines, I would suggest going back and getting like a bigger brush. This one's got a little bit of plum left from my when it was soaking, but hopefully that won't show. It's got a little water on it, and I'm just sort of like, it's a bigger brush, so it like won't leave as little a brush stroke. Okay, that's it. That's it. Just transformed it. Uh-oh, no, don't go on there. Okay. Oh no. It's okay. We can fix anything. We can fix anything. So, there you have it. That's one of the tips and tricks that I use when I am coming up with, I know there's some sparkles on it now, and I'll end up probably having some sparkle on it permanently, because I love sparkles. I have a sparkle collection coming out. Ta-da!